Coming up, drone show testing is spotted at Walt Disney World, ride testing gets underway at Tiana's Bayou adventure, more effects are roped off at Moana Journey of Water just 4 months after its official opening, and Disney files permits for demolition at the former NBA experience in Disney Springs. All that and more on the way. This is Mickey Views News.
All who come to this happy place, welcome.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me.
First up in the news today, we are getting right into the exciting stuff, you guys. According to sources of Mickey Views, it is just barely possible that Walt Disney World is in the early stages of receiving a new kind of nighttime show many fans have been dreaming of for quite a while. A nighttime sky parade utilizing drones, similar to that which just premiered over at Disneyland Paris. Based on information available to Mickey Views, Walt Disney World's president, and may I add, Disneyland's president, they saw the new electrical sky parade out at Disneyland Paris and started inquiring just how much it would cost for them to add something similar or exactly the same to their domestic parks. Since December, I've been hearing mutterings here and there about a new nighttime parade in development for Walt Disney World, perhaps something in the sky utilizing drones. However, our sources, who have been battle-hardened by the executive's lack of interest in funding anything of late, really felt that any exploration into this area would ultimately lead to nothing, and therefore it really wasn't worth getting our fans all hyped up about it, telling people about it or anything like that, because it may be something where it all fizzles out into nothing. Many's the time over the past few years where Imagineering has proposed a good idea or live entertainment has proposed a good idea, and the creatives at the parks, they've gotten all excited just for their hopes to be smashed. For example, I'll tell you guys, I was hearing this time last year that drones were being considered as part of the new Epcot nighttime show, the new fireworks show Luminous, and that ended up falling through. The general feeling at Parks Creative has become, the domestic parks, Walt Disney World in particular, it doesn't want to spend money on new stuff, so therefore the other resorts, chiefly the international resorts, will be the ones that continue to get all the good stuff because those parks are more willing to invest. However, last Thursday, WDW Magic posted an article where a fan of their site spotted drone testing over at Disney Springs inside of Walt Disney World. So now we have some photographic proof that something is definitely going on here. Not much more photographic proof than the Loch Ness Monster, to be fair, but according to WDW Magic's report, just after 7:30 p.m., the drone fitted with this very bright light, exactly like those used out at Disneyland Paris for their nighttime sky parade. It took off from the Cirque du Soleil parking lot at Disney Springs and did some loops around Lake Buena Vista, where it displayed an intense purple show light and then returned to its launch pad. It did this several more times as part of the test before packing up for the night. Now, something I want to make clear for you guys, this rumor that I'm talking about, it is not based on a single drone. There is a lot more to this. There's been a lot of talk behind the scenes where this has been an active rumor the past 2 months, and now all of a sudden here we have photographic confirmation of a show drone being tested. That's enough for me to say, hey, it looks like there really could be something to this. We could see something happen here. So insofar as what I think is flying here, I suspect that this is a Dronesos drone. Dronesos is a company who specializes in these sorts of nighttime sky parade things. They just did the one that premiered out at Disneyland Paris. And it is my belief that they are the one working on a show for Walt Disney World as we speak. This could be exploratory right now, but I do believe they recently set up an office in Orlando, this contractor, and I do believe that that is one of their drones that we're looking at here. There's been some speculation that maybe Disney was doing sightline testing, height testing or something, but flying a drone all over the water area, around the Disney Springs area, I don't see how that would be for a height test or something like this. Now, before we venture into pure speculation here, I just want to say we don't know for sure that this is happening. It is not confirmed or anything like that. But frankly, if you look at what we've seen from Disney the past few years, even when Disney themselves confirm stuff, it often isn't happening. Look at the Mary Poppins attraction that was supposed to come to Epcot. Look at the Play Pavilion. Look at the update to Spaceship Earth. So really, it's not so much about is something confirmed by Disney or is it still just a fan site rumor or things like this. What really decides if a project actually happens and we get to experience it is, of course, funding. And that is really the question here. Is this rumored drone show project for Walt Disney World something that is fully budgeted and green-lit? Or is it something where Disney does a little bit of testing and then it all ends up fizzling away, just like everything else that's proposed by the creatives because Walt Disney World is cheap? So venturing more into the pure speculation side of things here, so Disney's testing drones, right? They're probably working with this drone show maker, Dronisos. They're working on all this here. So the big question to me is, on what? What are they actually working on? Where would something like this go? The location of this test that was spotted is interesting because you may recall back in 2015, Disney partnered with Intel to do a holiday show in the sky, and it was in the same location over at Disney Springs. And I will say that that show, it was not a smashing success. A lot of people like myself thought it was really cool, but Disney did surveys and they weren't super impressed with what they saw. And the thing is that while Disney hasn't utilized this technology much since, especially at Walt Disney World, at other tourist attractions around the world, we have seen this technology progress significantly in the 8 years since it was last used at Walt Disney World. My suspicion is, based on the fact that we see a lot lately Disney do stuff where they first do stuff over at their international parks and then it's sort of ported over to Walt Disney World to Disneyland with minimal tweaks. Based on that idea, I think that it's possible that we could see this Disneyland Paris show, hardly edited, come to the Magic Kingdom. Wouldn't that be awesome? The roadblock there, of course, is Disney has all those flight restrictions. They'd have to work stuff out with the FAA. They'd have to obtain waivers and all of that to fly drones over the Magic Kingdom or Epcot. Also, the area behind the Magic Kingdom is an active area where there's cast members and guests driving around, walking around. There's a big question of, are the Disney lawyers going to let Disney Creative do something back there, behind the Magic Kingdom with drones? They may say, no, that's not possible. So they may have to stick to something over water, like the World Showcase Lagoon at Epcot, although the World Showcase Lagoon is completely surrounded by uncovered guest walkway areas, so the drones would have to be brought in underneath by the bridge on barges and things like that. It'd be quite complicated to work out. It's possible this could end up being something over at Disney Springs, but I really hope it's something coming to the Magic Kingdom because I just think about in recent years how I've heard Disney wants to do a nighttime parade again at Walt Disney World, but they don't like the labor costs and the crowd control issues related to doing a regular parade on the ground. Disneyland Paris, they just offered the perfect solution here, and perhaps that's what Walt Disney World and Disneyland's resort presidents identified when they saw this show, and part of what has them rumoredly interested here. Also very interesting, this is really its own mini news story. Just this week, keen observers of Happily Ever After, the nighttime spectacular at the Magic Kingdom, noticed something was different in its intro sequence. Since Happily Ever After came back last year, some of the searchlights from the original intro sequence failed to return. According to Disney Glimpses on Twitter, this is because the AO Falcon lights that produced the intro spotlight effect on the castle, they faced some technical issues where they ceased to function properly and Disney was not able to obtain new parts. However, Disney has now replaced these with less powerful but better engineered searchlights in groups of 2. So twice as many of these searchlights are now active on the roofs around the castle in Fantasyland, and this possibly cost Disney upwards of $250,000 in lights. And these just debuted this week at Happily Ever After. And you might be saying, Brayden, what does this have to do with this rumored drone show? Well, we keep hearing all over the place, from sources, from fans, from everyone, that Disney is cheap. I've said this many times, they aren't putting money towards new stuff. Disney is cheap. Here's the interesting thing though. Disney just spent upwards of $250,000 on a Happily Ever After lighting effect only the biggest nerds on the planet noticed was missing in the first place. And B, they're testing show drones on property at Walt Disney World. Is it possible live entertainment is gearing up to make good on these investments, adding possibly yet another Magic Kingdom nighttime show in the near future? Very interesting stuff. If you guys haven't seen the new Disneyland Paris Electrical Sky Parade show that I've been referring to and showing clips of here, I'll link the full thing in the description below. Be sure to check it out. Imagine us getting this at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. That would be so awesome. Also over in the Magic Kingdom today, water is once again flowing over at Splash Mountain, now known as Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The ride vehicles are back moving, they're floating. Most of them are floating anyways. It seems that some have been having issues. For the Splash Mountain update, the old boats are coming back, they're resuming use, and you may know that in the later days, the later years of Splash Mountain, many of these boats had issues where they are losing buoyancy and things like this. I hope that doesn't happen when I go on this ride, because that does not look like a lot of fun. Anyways, the boats are now being tested and run through the attraction, and the ones that are working well, they are being approved, and others are being tagged with rejected tags where they require further work before operations resume, before those boats begin use again, where guests are in them and things like that. The big change on these boats that you may notice is that the sculpture on the front of Brer Rabbit, who used to head down the mountain with you into the Briar Patch, they've taken the angle grinder to the little guy and cut him off the front of every boat, and then patched up the area with some new paint that you can see in these photos from Blog Mickey. On the positive side of things here, the fact that they're already testing the boats means that they're not that far away from full-scale testing, where Imagineers will be able to hop aboard these ride vehicles and program the ride sounds and effects and movements, all that complex programming that needs to be done before the attraction will be ready for previews and opening. The thing is, after they get that work done, once they actually get this thing programmed, they're already testing the ride vehicles here. It looks like we're not too far away. Then this ride is going to open. So surprisingly, I was thinking that this was something that wasn't going to open till late 2024. Now Disney has told us officially that Walt Disney World Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to open this summer. And I've been saying, hey, expect late summer. Don't get your hopes up if you're going this summer. Don't get your expectations out of whack. But the fact that we're already seeing ride testing here is definitely indicative of the interior progress. It seems like the interior scenes, all of that is pretty far along. The scaffolding had to be cleared up enough for them to start running water through this attraction again. So that is definitely a good sign here in terms of Tiana's Bayou Adventure coming online sooner rather than later. And of course, because of the capacity issues at the Magic Kingdom, the ride capacity that they've lost having Splash Mountain closed these years, that has definitely motivated Disney to get this update done a lot faster than other new ride additions we've seen in recent years. We'll stay on top of the latest going on here. Hopping back over to Disney Springs, drone show testing wasn't the only news at Walt Disney World's Shopping Village this week. We also had a permit Disney filed relating to the NBA experience. If you recall, for the longest time, we had the indoor interactive arcade, Disney Quest. Disney ended up demolishing Disney Quest and replaced it with a pet project of CEO Bob Iger's. Last video, you'll recall, I lamented how Iger seems to be all about sports, more so than the parks. Well, in this case, he merged the two, building what I guess you could call a Disney Quest for basketball fans at Walt Disney World. This was an indoor interactive basketball experience called the NBA Experience. After opening in August of 2019, it saw an immediate drop-off in popularity. In fact, a lot of that initial popularity, that initial wave, it was Disney giving media and influencers and social media people free access to try to hype up this attraction, and it did not work. Disney was offering major discounts to anyone who wanted to go. They were sending cast members around the area outside the building, trying to lure guests inside. After 8 months of struggling to get this experience to catch on, it closed alongside everything else at Walt Disney World in March of 2020 and failed to reopen later that year or the next. In August of 2021, Disney confirmed the NBA Experience was permanently closed, and ever since the space has sat dormant with most of its interior fixtures already removed. As of this hour, there's no news on a new tenant for this building or anything like that. However, this new permit Disney filed this week for demolition at the building's address could suggest that a new tenant is in the works, and they're clearing out more of the former NBA Experience installations to prepare the area for a new tenant. Some other theories as to what could be going on here: it's possible that they're going to update the basketball-themed exterior facade, which no longer makes sense. On the idea of would they demolish the entire building, the thing is that there is a restaurant, CityWorks, that currently inhabits part of this building, so it's highly unlikely that the entire thing is going to be coming down. However, it is a mystery how Disney is going to find a good tenant to properly repurpose this very purpose-built building. Could they do Disney Quest 2.0 No? That would be awesome, so definitely not. Could they get a company to do an escape room type of thing inside of that building there and figure out a way to make it work? We will see. Let me know what you guys think about this. Moving over to Epcot, I have two quick updates for you. So first is that Soarin' Around the World is returning to the Land Pavilion on February 28th. Since last summer over at Soarin', Disney's been playing the original film, Soarin' over California, the one with the orange smells and the fighter jets and all of that. It's a really, really good show. It's definitely the better film in my opinion. However, according to our sources, guest satisfaction numbers at the attraction failed to improve after they switched it from Soarin' Around the World back to Soarin' over California, which has motivated Disney to revert the film back to Soarin' Around the World and end this limited time engagement for Disney's 100th anniversary a little early. And as far as Soarin' Around the World, that is the more CGI heavy Soarin' film, the more recent one, and that one will be returning on February 28th. So your last chance to check out Soarin' over California here in Florida for the time being will be February 27th, and then we'll be back to Soarin' Around the World. I will say Soarin' Around the World is the much sharper of the two films. Optically, whatever scan of the IMAX film that they were playing on the digital projectors for this limited time run of the original film, I'm guessing it's a digitization they did a decade ago or something like that. The great thing about the original film is it's shot on IMAX. Disney has the film reels. They can run it through the latest scanners with the latest optics and get really, really crispy 6K, 8K resolution versions to play for us on this attraction. Instead, what they decided to play, it was a very soft, very low resolution scan of the film, in my opinion, insofar as, how it looked. It seemed quite soft and all of that. So for resolution junkies out there, this reversion to the more recent Soarin' Around the World film, it will be a vast improvement on that front, on the optical quality front of things, despite the fact that there are some wonky visuals and there is a lot of CGI in that version. And my main issue with Soarin' Around the World is the chopped up version of the original iconic score. I think they should have kept the original score because that was awesome. Instead, they try to, cut it up and chop it up. It's very strange, but overall, I would say that it is still a good film. Last up in the news today, over at Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, I told you guys last summer, I did a live stream, I told you guys I was moving out of Florida, and the way that lined up, I was not able to do previews for Journey of Water inspired by Moana or check it out after it opened. So to this day, I've still yet to actually experience Journey of Water inspired by Moana. And I'll tell you guys, I wasn't exactly in a rush to do so anyways. And since I moved out, I have been to the parks a handful of days, but those days I've been at other parks collecting B-roll for these videos to make these videos better quality for you guys. So point being, in a couple of weeks, I'm finally going to be at Epcot for the first time in 5 months. And I've been thinking, finally I'm going to get to see this Moana thing. Well, Moana Journey of Water, 4 months into official operation, is already broken. The thing has fallen apart before I could even get over to Epcot and check it out. And some people will say, Brayden, that's clickbait. It's not broken. Yes, it is. We get guest photos on a near weekly basis where the paint of this 5-month-old attraction has completely chipped off. It's falling apart where you can see bare concrete and all this sort of stuff. Look at this. It does not look very good. There are water features that are routinely disabled during the attraction. They've had pipes burst under the guest pathway and had to do emergency maintenance on that, despite this, again, being a brand new construction, a brand new attraction. Just absolutely crazy stuff. The news at this hour is one of the most popular experiences during the attraction, a curtain of water that parts for you. Now that is completely blocked off. They are doing refurbishment work on it, and the interactive wave portion of the attraction is also down for refurbishment with signs up saying that the water doesn't feel playful right now. So we'll see in a couple of weeks what the status of this attraction is. I've yet to even see a full walkthrough or anything like that, so I may just go live and give you guys my initial reaction to this thing quite soon. It will be very, very interesting to check out, and I'll be able to show you guys the current status of it so you're aware of how this attraction is standing up 6 months or so into operations if you count previews. So just something to be aware of there. If you're heading to Walt Disney World soon, Journey of Water inspired by Moana, many of the effects on it are not functioning at this time, where the water is not feeling playful right now, according to Disney. And again, I want to emphasize we are 4 months into official operations at this attraction, 6 months if you you count previews. It's already broken. How is this thing going to last 10 years, 20 years? What will it look like by then? I guess we will see. Be sure to subscribe with those notifications on to stay on top of the latest happening in the world of Disney. I'll keep bringing you guys the latest I hear with this possible drone show, this nighttime parade in the sky sort of thing, possibly heading to Walt Disney World. Could be really awesome. Also, head on over to mickeyviews.com/support to find out how to support the creation of these videos. Thank you so much for watching. From the Mickey Views Magic Studio, this is Brayden. Have a magical day.